Hello guys, and you're welcome back. In our last lesson, we saw how we could create a strawberry from scratch using a reference image. This time around, let's look at another practice project where we're actually going to create a pear. So first, let's go ahead and create a new project, and I'll set it as a 32 by 32, and I'll click OK. And first thing we'll do is to load our reference image. So when we go to Layer, New, we can actually load a new reference layer from file, and we actually have a Pear image. And let's just kind of open up that image so we can actually see the colors we have. If we actually sample the let's use the eyedropper tool, we can actually see the colors we can actually have for that Pear. So we actually it's not just green, right? Because if you actually think it's green, we can actually jump here, and this is kind of like green, but this is not just green. When we look around it, we can actually see we're more towards the kind of like yellowish orange zone, which is kind of like around here. And each time we move our pointer around, sorry guys, we can see that we're actually sampling different colors from this section with the highlight. So this will be our peach reference image. Again, we don't have to copy this exactly as it is. We're just using this as a reference, and we can actually see how we can use that to build our project. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll just lock this and close it. Let's create let's call this fill, because it's actually nice to work with a neutral color. And again, if when we're creating our project, let's say for instance I start this new project, I can actually use a color for this, right? So I can set the white to background, but I just prefer doing it like this. So for my fill color, I'll just use something slightly neutral and use my bucket tool and just fill it up. So this is going to be our canvas right here. So the first thing we'll do is to create the outline of our shape. So I'll just do a Shift N, and I'll also lock our fill there by clicking the padlock icon, and let's just call this outline. So now that I have this outline shape, if we look at our reference layer, it is slightly kind of like what is on the left hand side is mirrored on the right hand side. It's not perfect, they're not perfectly symmetrical, but we can just do a rough estimate and say, hey, you know what, what's here kind of like looks like what's here, and it's a bit distorted. So let's see how we can quickly work with that. So for the outline, what I'll do is to actually toggle the horizontal symmetry tool, and with the horizontal symmetry tool, what we're just going to do is to create the symmetry for our shape. So I'll just use a slightly dark value for our bottom shape, like so, and I'll just go down here and whoops, I'm actually using the wrong tool. So I'll just change to B to switch to my pencil tool, and let's just drag out the bottom of this shape. So I'll just draw it right here, and clearly we can see what that's doing. That's actually adding pixels on both sides, which is actually a great way to do so. So now I'll just go 2 pixels up like this. So I'll just do 1, 2. I'll just take one more like so. I'll do 2 again, and then I'll just go up like that, just to have that shape. And now I'll just start going 2 pixels up, 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 because I'm trying to like make it meet up to the top, up like so, and we'll just do this. So obviously that's not a good plan. So no problem, it's actually perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. So let's go ahead and start over again. Sometimes you have to do this more than once to get it. So what I'll do is rather than, let's just do let's say, okay, we do this right like so. I kind of like feel a bit more natural working from the top and then going slightly down to the bottom rather than start from the bottom. I feel this is kind of like much more better for me. Whoops. Like so. So let's just drag this down a bit, and and let's just go to the bottom and drag this like so, and let's see if we can meet up with this. So slightly like so. Now this edge looks super weird. So what I'll do is I'll just wipe out this edge like so and get back to our brush tool and just drag this up. I think this is slightly a bit more natural than that one, right? I feel this is slightly a bit more natural. And then this edge here, I don't know, I think something is a bit kind of like off about this edge, so I'll just go ahead and do this. Yeah, I think we actually have a kind of like rough shape. This might be a bit too high, so what I'll do is to go to our select tool, rectangular marquee tool, and just select this edge and just drag this down 1 unit. So we actually have our basic rough shape. Now again, I'll just go ahead and get rid of this. If you don't want this to be, you know, kind of like symmetrical like this, you can actually change it. And what I also like to do is, I don't like how this edge is just too pronounced, so I'll just switch this up and erase this edge, and let's just add 1 pixel right here like so. Alright, and let's just I think it's let's take this here, add this here, and then erase this one, and also erase this one inside. Okay, we can't get rid of this one, and when we get rid of that one, that looks super weird. So yeah, I think this is okay. So now we have that outline. What we're going to do is just get rid of the symmetry. So this outline, remember, is kind of like let's use the same color. Let's see the magic wand tool. Okay, so I think that outline is super fine, but I want the outline to be slightly kind of like greenish in a way, but I'll just leave it as now. So what we're going to do is to fill up this edge. So right now, let's just go to do a let's select this and use a base color. So let's just slightly drag this here, and I think this is a nice base color to start with. So now that we have this base color, what we're going to do is to create the highlights. So let's go ahead and lock our outline and do a Shift N, so we can create a kind of like highlight around here for the light source. The light is coming from the top left, so let's kind of like use that around here. So again, I'll use the lasso tool, and we're going to be doing using the lasso tool a lot in this course, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing is written on stone. So we just do a lasso selection around our object like so. I kind of like don't like how this one kind of like went in there. So yeah, I could just shift this one edge like that. Yeah, I think it's okay like so. So I'll just take a slightly lighter value, and I'll just shift my hue, and right, so I'll just pick the fill and just fill that edge like that, like so. And what we can actually do is to use our brush tool and just fill up some of that. So I'll just call that H1 for our first highlight, and I'll just fill this edge up like that quickly. Now obviously you can actually clean this up, you can add, you know, you can remove, you can reduce it, that's totally fine, it's okay. So what I want to do also is to add another kind of like shape underneath the first highlight, right? And then we can add in our shadows if we want also. So now we have our we have our outline right here, and we have our fill. like so. Let's see something. Let's take this. Let's go to our outline. So I have this layer locked, so it's not actually working. So now I have this. So what I want to do is to separate the outline from the fill. So now I've used the magic wand on our outline layer. I'll just create, I'll just go to our layer and just go to a new layer via copy. Right, so I'll just call that fill underscore copy. So what that does is that I can actually now, if I go back to my outline and use the magic wand tool, I'll just delete everything. So I have my outline separate, and now I have my fill separate, like so. So that's going to be helpful, because we can actually use the fill to create a shadow. Right, so now we have our outline. Let's create a darker version of our fill. So what I'm going to do is to right click and say duplicate, and I'll just call this shadow, like so, and we'll just drag this, and let's select the layer once and drag it and put it underneath. So we have our let's just darken this, shift our hue, like so. We don't want it to be too dark. Then use our gradient tool, like so. So it's actually there. So this is our shadow. If we actually have our so this is our fill and this is our shadow underneath. If we actually move our fill, we can actually see the shadow underneath, like so. So that's our plan right now. So what we can actually do is to actually use the eraser tool and then take out some of the fill so we can see the shadow on top. So what I mean is, if this is our fill and we want to see the shadow underneath, we could just actually kind of like erase out some of these edges. For instance, I could just, kind of like cut out this edge like that and just clean up all this edge so we can actually see that underneath. So that's another technique we can actually use to see what's hiding underneath, and we'll just chop it out like that. So now that we have our kind of like weird, our nice kind of like shadow layer underneath, what we can do is to add a kind of like slightly brighter outline around here. So I'll be using just 4 colors. So if we go to our highlight 1, we can also duplicate our highlight 1. So if I right click our highlight 1, let's say duplicate, and I'll just call that H2, which is our highlight 2. I'll just do a Control T for the transform, and I'll just make this slightly smaller and place it around here. And then what we can do is to bump up that value and use our bucket tool to fill this up, and then we can use the move tool to move this slightly up like so. So we can actually see some of that highlight over there. And then we can actually add one more little highlight. So we'll do a Shift N, and I'll call that H3. And remember to always lock your layers, because if you accidentally walk on a layer you don't want to walk on, it might be difficult to actually do everything. So here this will be our brightest part, and I'll just quickly use the lasso tool and just draw a slight selection around here. Okay, that's not the okay, I was using the polygonal lasso, sorry about that guys. And just for this, so I'll use the gradient tool, which is the shortcut is G, and we'll just paste it like so. And we need to just bump this up a little bit. So I'll do G like that. I feel this is slightly kind of fair. So if you actually look at this, what we can do is to add a little bit of reflection along our edges. And to do that, I'll just take a slightly lighter version of our color. Let's do Shift N, and let's just call that lights. And then let's drag that a bit slightly to the left and bump this up. So we can actually use this to kind of indicate. In fact, I'll just use something slightly cooler and raise it up a bit. So we can actually add this to our edge like so, and then shift our hue like that, and take a sample from here, shift our hue a little bit, and then add that into our design. What we can also do is to actually look at this edge for our lights and also add this to this edge just to give it some of that, you know, kind of like nice variation. And I'm using the colors that exist on the palette to use them to sample around this object. So let's just do that here, just around it. So there's our lights. Let's go ahead and look at our lights here. So right now all is just left is a little bit of polish, you know, nothing's kind of like written. And then we can actually go and fix our highlight 1 and unlock our highlight 1 layer. Take our brush and then kind of like, you know, just make this more less kind of symmetric. We can actually have some of this. I kind of like the way this turned up. So what we can also do is since we have light coming from this edge, we want to take our outline edge right here and work on our outline. Right, so let's get our outline and sample this color and just take up a bright value for this color and then use that around this edge because we want to indicate that there's some kind of like lights coming in here for our outline. So let's just shift our hue a little bit and then add that like so, and then shift our hue like that. Let's slightly bump this up a bit, a little bit, like that. And then we'll add this to our outline to make our outline look awesome. I think we'll actually stop from here. And then right here for our outline, let's make it slightly dark. So it might not really necessarily be noticeable right now, but and let's shift our hue just to add a variation of color to our hue. I think that's okay. So what I want to do is to actually add some of this right here. So let's go to where we added our lights. Let's go to our lights layer, unlock our lights layer, and let's make this slightly brighter. So I'll select this and just push this up a little bit, drag my hue a bit, and then use our brush tool and let's just add this as we drag our hue. Okay, that's kind of like too much. Okay, let's just slightly shift it. And I'll just take this and drop it like here, like so. Also, what we need to do, actually look at, is that our peach has a little stem around here. So let's see how we can work on that stem. So in case you've actually, like, we started with a 32 by 32 bit pixel, and we actually see we need a little space right here at the top. Let's see how we can work and add that space. So here, what I'm going to do is to go to sprite, and let's go to canvas size, and just right here at the top, let's just add 5 pixels at the top of our document. But since we want this to be a square pixel, I think a value of 4 would be actually great. 32 by 36. Oh, let's just add 8 pixels, like so. So by doing that, we can actually see our fill is kind of like spilling. So let's go ahead and take our fill, and let's just add On our fill layer, let's select this and then just fill this entire layer like so. And let's just get back and create a new layer. And let's call this, why do I always call this stem? I don't know. I need to find out the real, the name of this part right here. So I just want to create that, you know, shape right there. If we go here, we can actually see that, you know, the part that's connected to the tree. My biology teacher is not going to be happy with me. So I'll just take this and just do a little outline. I'll just do this. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfect. It doesn't have to be the same thing. And let's just use a kind of like nice contrasting value for this outline. So I'll just use this shape, this color right here, and then we'll take something slightly darker to represent that stem. And let's just take this color and brighten it up a bit to indicate that, hey, you know what, that's where our light's coming from. And also, I'm a fan of not using the same hue. And let's just drag this more. Now this one is going to make it look super different. So I'll just go ahead and try to drag the hue a little bit. Alright, good. There's actually a difference. Now I kind of like this subtle difference. There's actually a difference, but it's slightly noticeable. And what we can also do is to just make this, give this more form by adding up to this edge like that. So with that, we've actually seen how we can create a nice little peach shape, and we could actually add a shadow underneath. We can select everything and add a shadow underneath. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm just holding shift and selecting everything, and I'll take the move tool and I'll just drag it at the top. So you can see I actually left one layer. So I'll hold down shift and select that layer also. So I'll just drag everything up. Oops. So I think I'm actually taking the fill also. So that's our reference and fill. We have our outline, shadow, copy, H1. I'm holding down shift to select everything. And I'll make sure everything's unlocked. Okay, good. So now we can actually move our item up above, so we can add that shadow at the bottom. So now that we've done that and selected everything, I'll just bring the fill back. And we don't even need to turn on our reference. So I'll do a shift N. And I'll just do a bottom underscore shadow. And doing the shadow is very simple. We'll just use a filled ellipse tool, and we'll select a slightly dark value, and we'll just do something like so, and we'll just double click on it and turn down our opacity till we're satisfied with it. And that's how we can actually create a peach. And let's go ahead and save this. So I'll just save, and oh, it's a pear, sorry, pear. Obviously I don't know my fruits, and we actually have our pear like so. So once again, thank you very much guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.